back, people. Act 2 the podcast, episode 58. How are we doing? We back in the building. The building might look a little different, but you know, we got shit going on. That's just the gist of it. We got shit going on. So the building looks a little different. But we here, we showing up. We in the building. That's all that matters. And when we in the building, we in the building on act2.com. Act2thepodcast.com. We in the building on Spotify. We in the building on Facebook. We in the building on Breaker. We're on the building on Google Podcasts. We in the building on Instagram, YouTube, Anchor, TikTok, Breaker.
We there.
That's it. There you go. We on all them, so ain't no reason why you shouldn't be checking us out or checking out all the episodes that we got in the archives. It's your boy International Walk in the building.
And it's your girl, Tosh, the co-hostess with the mostest.
What's up?
What's up?
She back healthy now, y'all.
Let me tell y'all, this is week 6, so let's get this show going.
Yeah, we even bumped buns yesterday.
Oh my God, you're so embarrassing. So embarrassing.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
No! How are you?
I'm a 10.
You a 10?
Yeah, I'm a 10.
Get the pen out.
Yeah, get the pen.
Mental.
Get the pen. My mental, I'm in a very good space.
That's a 10?
It's a 9. It's always wrong for
mental's
improvement. Yeah. It's a 9, you know. I feel good. God is blessing us. And I feel a sense of peace. I'm feeling very Zentosh.
Zentosh.
Yeah, so I feel a sense of peace. I've been having some, I'll use the word Sierra uses, spiritual awakenings.
Okay.
More like revelations that I've just been thinking about myself. Like, you know, we talked about before, therapy is one of those things. You get it, but it continues to trickle down through your spirit, through your soul, and certain things hit you at certain times. So, yeah, but in a good way. So, I'm feeling a 9.
Work.
Oh, work is an 8, I'm going to say, because it's almost time for me to go back. 6 weeks off was beautiful. The first 2 weeks.
Remember I had 6 weeks off for COVID?
Yeah. The first 2 weeks I had to mentally not detach from work, because I was detached from work immediately. But I just had to tell myself, sit down. You don't have to be doing a lot. Like, it's okay not to be doing stuff. And then, you know, we was in the midst of handling personal business. So this 6 weeks was good. It was, you know, I'm grateful, despite the fact that being for health reasons, I'm grateful that I'm okay, but it was needed.
Do you think we ever could go on a vacation for 6 weeks?
Yes.
You know, we've been like someplace for 2 weeks, but
yeah, we stayed for 2 weeks. 6 weeks. Yeah, I think
it's a month and 2 weeks.
I think for us it would work because we're like-minded when it comes to vacation. Like, we'll go on vacation and some days we'll just literally lay in the bed all day and watch TV. We got turned on to Criminal Minds on vacation one year and watched like 7 seasons of it during vacation, because some days we will just chill. So we're like that, where we don't have to keep being on the go. We'll have a beach day, we'll have a pool day, we'll have excursions and things like that. We'll have a day we just stay in a hotel.
Yes.
We'll bring some cards, some, you know, board
We'll find
games.
some other shit to do.
If God sees fit for us to have a 6 weeks vacation, I'm open, God. Bring it down. Let it rain down on us.
What them finances looking like?
Finances is looking like a 9.
Looking like a 9.
God is blessing, and
finances
I'm grateful.
Is a 9. Nueve.
So I'm a 989.
You a 998.
No, I said. Oh, I'm sorry, 998. So that's mental finance work.
Yes, that's how it's written out.
Well, that's not how you asked.
Because I wanted to say the finances for last.
Okay.
But I didn't write it that way. Okay. But I got to tell the people that.
How are you?
I'm good.
No. How are you?
I'm good. I had a mental shutdown yesterday.
Yeah.
But I'm good. Yeah, mentally I'm good. It was this process and what we have going on, which we will soon share. We hate to keep our people in the dark, but we just had some personal life stuff going on. Some personal life stuff going Obviously, y'all know about my baby's health situations, but she's snapped back like a rubber band because she's the trooper that she is. Love her and thankful for that. But yeah, in the upcoming episode, you'll see, we'll reveal most of what we had going on. It wasn't nothing deep and dark. It's just fun life stuff that, everybody go through. Just super fucking stressful. Yeah. Super fucking stressful.
But mentally, how are you now?
Mentally,
you did have a mental shutdown, but in a good way. I think it was one of those things where it was so much going on in your mind. It was literally like your brain said,
yeah, and once I got a release, it was like,
he went
not
to
a
bed,
sexual release, but just a release of like, okay, things will work out. I don't have to worry about this no more. Like, that shit took me from 10 million down to 0, and it was lights out. Like, my body was down.
I think I contributed to that lights out too.
You did. Twice.
I had to pop my collar, Pop my collar. I was part of that lights out. He went to bed with no dinner. Like, he was full. He was full. He didn't need anything else. When was the last time you went to bed with no dinner? He was full. Because your girl made sure he was full. All right, so mentally, where are you?
Mentally, I am a 9.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. It makes me feel good when you're a 9 because, we talked a couple weeks ago. I was stressing because I knew you were stressing, and me stressing was making you stress, but I was trying to stop stressing about you stressing.
And I try to just put myself at a 9 most of the time just through prayer. Prayer can get me at a 9 because it'll like, all right, I'm done. My faith is there, and then let it happen. And then the devil will trickle in some kind of way and just make you feel like,
Yeah, but you're
and then stress rises, and but yeah, just prayer puts me at a 9, and things working out. So
it makes my heart feel good to hear you say that.
You're like a talk person tonight.
Work. How's work?
Work is a 8. Yeah, work's at 8. It's everything's backed up because of COVID. Work's at 8. So
that's like the state of the world. Like, food is backed up, gas.
I had doors I ordered January the 10th or some shit like that, and they still haven't left where they're supposed to leave at. What are we, almost in March?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
hope it all works out for you. How's your finances?
Nueve. They're Neener.
So we're aligned.
Yeah.
998. That's good. We're on the same wavelength. That feels good.
Wows and woes, what you got?
First I want to start with my woe. Last week, I wanted to send some. It just felt a little emotional. I wanted to send some well wishes for my baby. I didn't say her name, but I don't think she'll mind. Toya, whose aunt was in the hospital. She was not doing well, and unfortunately she passed away. So my love and our love and condolences and sympathy to the Green Rhodes Thompson family. I loved her. She was she was a beautiful spirit anytime I was around her. I wasn't always around her, but at, their family functions and things, I was family. I showed up, and, she just was a good-hearted person. And it's one of those things where, you got some people's families who, unfortunately, there's a lot of death that they experience very often. But in talking
3, 4, 5, 6 a year sometimes.
Yeah, and talking to her, this is their family's first death in 11 years. And it's hard. And she and her aunt, they were close. They had a close relationship. But one of the things that I can say is that, again, they had a close relationship. And this might be a little selfish when people die. I know that she knew that Toya loved her. And I'm just happy that Toya had the chance to show her. Doesn't stop any heartache and, grief, but I'm happy that Toya had a chance. So that's my woe. When you love somebody and they're hurting and they're sad, there's nothing you can do to help them and fix it, except prayer, So, again, my condolences and sympathy for my baby and her family. My wow this week, it was just God. All praises due to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who has continued to show up for us in small ways and big ways, and I'm just very grateful for that. We handle stress differently, where like I'm always the optimist, when we're going through things, and it's like, chill, babe, it's gonna work. Because I like we said, like I can't let my mind go there to be stressed, because I just like, God, if this is meant to be, let it be. And
but I'm a realist in a way where it's like I have to look at both sides of it. Maybe that's just a man thing, but I hope that things go well, but I also know if they don't go well, that means they went bad. I got to look at that other side of the coin to have a contingency for if they go bad. This is what the next move is. If they go great, then we know what the next move is. But if they go left, we need to know what the next move is. And if we're constantly saying, it's going to work out, and then just for some odd reason it doesn't, it's like we never even thought of the plan B.
I get it, and I 100% get it. But again, I'm just grateful. So that's just the why in of itself. Just grateful for God's blessings in our life.
Yep.
Yeah. What about you? Your woes and woes?
My woes was a same sort of similar situation with a friend of mine, Bill McKay, Billy Blanco from the Bronx. Mom's passed, and he was upset about that. He was real close with his mom, used to take care of her all the time, leave work early, go do things like that, and he put her to rest this week. I think I mentioned that on the last show.
Yeah, that was your last one.
But he put her to rest this week, and it was the pictures and stuff was nice. Talking to him was known him for a long time. I don't have a close relationship with my mom, but when other people's mom die, it's like, damn, I'll be having to check myself, because it's like, that's their mom. You know what I mean? It's not the same for me, but it's their mom. So, yeah. Woes is...
That was your woe, right?
That was my woe. So, wows...
Yes.
I got to have sex. It's been 6 goddamn weeks. And I got to pluck her feather yesterday. Twice. So I'm good. I just feel good. I feel great. I held it down. I'm 6 weeks. 6 weeks that, I couldn't touch my wife, and she laying next to me, lotioning up and glazing her body with oil and shit like that, smelling good, and I couldn't touch her. So
you could. First of all,
we was 1 day shy of the 6-week mark, and I plucked a feather twice.
First of all, let's not. You could have.
I chose not to.
You always want to follow the doctor's orders.
That's right, because I don't want to hurt nothing internally. Make sure you wasn't bleeding. Make sure you was comfortable. And I wrote it out. It was not a problem. I wrote it out. I was honored to write it out, be a part of the process. But man,
it was hard.
Ooh, man.
I was begging you.
Man.
I was begging you.
Like having to sleep next to somebody that you really, really, really want is a problem. Like if you don't want the person, that's fine, because you could just roll over and go to sleep. But when you like really, really, really yearn for the person, and then they like take a shower, rubbing on smell goods, glazing up, and
why do you
can't do
glazing up like I'm a donut?
So then when the 6 weeks came to an end, I would be like putting
on my body oil and stuff, and I could feel his eyes burning a hole, and he'd be like, you gotta rub that oil on you like that. Like literally, I'm trying to stand in the corner, stay away from you. No, you gotta put that oil on like
it's
that.
It's got a scent to it too. But that's neither here nor there.
That was your wild for the
back in the yams.
And he don't even like yams, except
that's my wow. Topic of discussion. We're gonna have a three topic tie-in with these discussions. They're all going to tie into each other, but the topic of discussion this night is going to be the halftime show from the Super Bowl, affirmative action, and the Rooney Rule.
Okay.
So halftime show thoughts.
It was great. You gotta come out with this, my son.
Okay.
It was great. I thought it was. I'm laughing because it was very entertaining. And a short while ago, I saw this thread that was like a crazy Karen's thread, where it talked, where the Karens of the world, they didn't think so much that it was a great show, which is not surprising because it wasn't their genre.
Right.
But that's just like, in years past, I like Sting, but, most African American young what people probably don't. But if you had somebody like a Sting and a Bruce Springsteen and what's the guy?
Aerosmith.
Somebody like that, you would have our demographic of people who wouldn't be into it. So it is what it is. For those who, it wasn't their demographic of music, so what? You win some, you lose some, and this was a show for us, by us. I thought it was done beautifully. I wish it was longer. It was just like a tease, kind of.
Yeah. It was a 40-minute halftime show, to be honest with you.
40 minutes?
That's how long the players was in the locker room, 40 minutes. I think they did 22 minutes on stage.
Oh, I was about to say, what? Oh, but okay.
Yeah.
So they were in a locker room for 40 minutes, but the show itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I thought it was very entertaining. It was just a tease. I wish it could have been longer. But it's not our first Super Bowl, so I know, it ain't about to be an hour-long show.
Did it
but
mean anything to you? It was a historic moment in sports culture.
One of the things...
To see, rap icons or hip-hop icons such as Dre, Eminem. A lot of people shit on 50 because he was a little chunky. To see Eminem, Mary J. Blige, Dre, Snoop.
So what I thought was interesting, and this went through my mind, is that we all know that Snoop, the culture that he raps about is entwined in gang culture. That's what he was born and bred into. I thought it was interesting that was being embraced, because despite what good gang, the gangs may do in their community, which we know there are some good things, it's a gang. It's a violent gang. Let's just not sugarcoat it. It's a gang. So I thought it was interesting that was being embraced. But I guess if these are the people you invite, then unless you're gonna try to damper them or
they did, but they went against it. There was 4 things I noticed, and that was the Snoop threw up the C's, he crip walked. Mm-hmm. They said the line "Still not loving the police."
Yeah.
And Eminem kneeled.
Yeah.
So for that wasn't supposed to happen. They told Eminem not to.
Yeah, I did read that.
And he still did it and stayed that way. So to see that, they did try to tone it down a little bit. But
I mean, not even that.
You're not going to be able to tone them down because
their songs are their songs,
yeah.
Right? So that's why I thought it was interesting and even Snoop in his attire, he had on Crip attire, you said, he Crip walk, and even looking at the dancers that had on the Dickies and stuff like that, those are things that are symbolic of that gang culture, and gang culture and hip hop culture is not synonymous.
No,
that is a part of hip hop culture. Well, it is a part of Black culture in some aspects, but that's just one segment of gang culture. So I thought it was very interesting that was embraced, almost to the point y'all might want to revoke my black card, where I don't know if it should have been. I love Snoop. Nah. Snoop was my very first CD that I purchased at 12. Doggy Style, his first album. I love Snoop. But I feel embracing hip hop doesn't mean you have to embrace the gang culture.
But at this point in time, if you hire, not hire, but if that's your act, Snoop that's what he comes with. It's like the video surface of him behind the benches before the show smoking.
You should have known that, yeah.
That's just what he's gonna come with, whether he's showing up for Martha Stewart or the Super Bowl. So it's gonna be some weed smoking. He gonna talk about the C's. He gonna do a little shuffle with the Crip walk. That's just who he is. And I just think that comes with it. And the part of the gang culture I think he represents is, the let's get everybody together part and let's move in a movement part. I don't see Snoop advocating gang culture the way he used to when he first came out, before the murder case and all that kind of stuff, when he was deep cover Snoop. Right. It was a different type of Crip and gang culture he was advocating then. Now, I just think it's different. Dre, I think it's different. Eminem, I think is different. Everybody loves Mary. I don't know how people feel about 50. I know they think he's killing it on, ABC and stars with the movies and the TV shows and all that. But, I just think it was awesome, to have iconic figures like that do the halftime show. But the flip on that, do you think the NFL used black entertainers to distract black people from real black issues, from the not so much of progress going on with Jay and RocNation in the NFL, not so much progress with a lot of other, having the league be 70% black, and not a lot of love for the black for the Players Association and all that stuff. So do you think there's not been much movement on the front since the two merged together, NFL, hip hop, RocNation, and all that? Right. So because everything is slow, do you think they just put a concert on, throw some black people up in front of there to satisfy black people, to kind of distract them?
No, I mean,
from the real issues.
To any intelligent black person,
or I guess not. Do you think that, is it plausible?
I mean, to any intelligent black person, it isn't a distraction, because no matter what kind of show you put on, we know that those are still issues. And we know, like you said, that was a 22-minute segment and a lifetime of issues, or however many years that the NFL has been around, that need to be resolved. So a distraction, no. And I also think this is one of those moments where I can understand how people, the powers that be, could be like, damn, you damned if you do, you damned if you don't, because it's Black History Month. They got Jay-Z in that position where he's supposed to bridge that gap between the hip-hop culture and the NFL. So if there was a show with Sting, Bruce Springsteen, Aerosmith, black people would be like, what about us? You don't got us up there. Okay, but then they put us up there and it's like, oh, y'all just trying to do this to distract from the issues. It ain't a distraction, it's a show. The issues still go on. So let's make sure that we remain diligent, and we as people, not as individuals, that we remain diligent in letting them know, hey, great show, thank you for giving us the opportunity, thank you for putting us on, allowing us to showcase our talents, allowing our legends to be celebrated in the manner that they are. After the fun, let's get back to business, or let's start business if the rhetoric is that they haven't even begun to handle the issues that they're supposed to. So to answer your question, if that's their mindset, that's stupid, because again,
an intelligent intellectual would be like, that's just a show.
Yeah, it's a show. It's 22 minutes. Now let's get back to business.
There's people in the comments saying, white people, I obviously can tell by these comments that it wasn't a great show, and that they're doing too much for black people. They're catering to black people. And that has a problem with me when the league is 70% black. And how can the NFL be doing so much for black people where the league is 70% black and the players have done so much for the league? Yeah. Like, how can you even say something like that?
So, again, I feel
like the players are the 70% black players, and the 30% white or Hispanic or whatever, are the reason why the league makes $17 billion a year. So
I'm not surprised at that, though. Like, you're gonna have white people that are gonna say that. Just like if it was, the lineup was, legendary rock stars, you would have black people that would be complaining. So I'm not surprised by it at all. I think just like they want us to be their entertainment to the level that they're comfortable. They're not comfortable with rap music, so it's gonna be like, I don't know how I feel about this. And that's okay. You cannot like it. You ain't paid. You watching on TV. You ain't paid to go there. Everybody knew what the lineup was for months leading up to this. It's okay if you don't like it. The show still went on. Change the channel. Go get your snacks while the show is on.
Go smoke your cigarettes.
Yeah, and then keep it moving, Sally. Like, it is what it is. The show still went on. Those who mind don't matter, and those who matter won't mind. Yeah. So the show is what it is. I think it was a great representation. And again, I enjoyed the show, and I'm not saying that that those people that performed, they did a great job. I myself felt like, wow, Snoop got on. I mean, Snoop got on like full Crip outfit. And here in LA, so it's like that's to be expected. Yeah. Now, when you mention I know that a lot of his conversation is about the unification. Him and the guy,
Whack 100.
Whack 100. They talk about Big the unification. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. I was picturing him in my mind, the unification of the gangs. what I thought would have really been representative of that. But I know it's unrealistic because, again, it's in their blood, no pun intended. Like, it would have been different if Snoop was up there with an outfit that was half red, half blue. But I know he wouldn't do, again, that's what I'm saying. I know he wouldn't do that.
The politics of the games won't let him do that.
But that, I think, would have been representative of unification. In his case, it was clear the side that he stood on, not that he was out there promoting any killing, but I just think when you think about what gangs are primarily known for.
No, that's just the perception, though. That's the perception, and he's trying to change the perception that when the Crips and gangs first started, it was about unity and feeding the neighborhoods and bringing the young kids up. Then all that wild shit got tied into it, and that's a part of it too. I'm not disagreeing with that, but that's a detriment to him and what he represents to come up there with a half and half. Like, this isn't a basketball game where you can wear half jerseys.
I know that's what I'm saying. I know, like, that's not the innate culture of gang, but I think that would have been representative of unification of the gang. So, but I know that's unrealistic to think that he would do that. I have a question for you. I seen some comments of people saying that Dr. Dre, Snoop, Eminem, 50 Cent, the Game should have been included to perform. What do you think about that? The rapper, the Game. Because when you're talking about Dr. Dre produce hits, his biggest acts.
Again, it's a politics thing because Game is a blood.
Okay.
So it's a politics thing. Although he was on Aftermath and worked with 50 and did all that stuff, you in LA. So it's almost like Snoop is the headliner. What are you representing up there?
But I think that would have really been representative of the unification of gangs.
Yeah.
If you had Snoop and the Game performing, and it's not like the Game isn't an artist who has had hit songs produced by Dre.
Optically, would have that been too much to be like, damn, like it seemed like Snoop's outfit snuck in. And you noticed he had the blue flag on his clothes.
I noticed it,
but it was like, all right, it's half and half. The shoulders is blue. This is tan, like this. But if Game would have been out there with red rags on, it'd have been just like, damn, like.
But then at the end, if they would have did some like hand holding thing, that's what I'm saying. I just was wondering because when I didn't think about it at the time until other people had posted something on social media and Game reposted those when people were like, damn, I think his name is Los Angeles Confidential, should have been up there performing. Damn, they should have had such and such. They should have had the homie. And he just reposted all of them. And I mean, it made me think like, he had some big hits. He's from LA. He was he had some Dre hits like that. I mean, it would have, and like you said, Snoop was the headliner. I don't know. I think that would have been an interesting dynamic. No, you mentioned 50. This is one of those times when I think double standards are wrong on the side of women. Again, y'all want to revoke my black card, want to revoke my woman card. I don't care. I'm going to say how I feel.
Let's get on with it.
I don't like people fat shaming. 50. If a woman had got up there, post-COVID, we all a little chunkier than we were. Maybe, now I'm not saying every single person, of course, for those of you who has still continued working out. I was going to say,
some people worked out madly during COVID.
That's fine. A lot of people, I'm not going to say we all, a lot of people post-COVID, we together lost collectively 100 pounds post-COVID. We probably gained back 40 of those between the two of us. So
you got to realize some people their timeline is different. Like some people now are saying they're a year post-COVID.
Yeah,
so you saying post-COVID like it was last month, and
that's
some people
true.
Feel like
COVID
it was a year ago.
is still going on. Yeah.
So I'm just saying.
But I'm just saying, let's just remove COVID out the scenario anyway. People comment about, damn, he got chunky from when that song originally came out. I seen somebody post, do you look like how you look when that song first came out? If a woman had got up there to perform and people was like, oh my God, look at her, look how thick she is, it would have been post all over about fat shaming, don't do that, love your body, be who you are, be proud, like taken up for a female artist. That's men have feelings too. That's not right.
I don't give a fuck about that shit. He don't give a fuck about that shit.
You,
He don't.
Yo.
I'm just saying, he don't give a fuck about that shit. They put a meme up with some fat dude next to him, and he was like, "Who did this shit?" And he just put hashtag his liquors.
This is a sidebar. I think I might need to talk about this in therapy. I think I'm becoming an empath. Like, I'll be feeling bad for people. And like you said, I may not even need to feel bad. I feel bad for him and people talking about him, and he may not even care.
Nah, he don't give a shit about that. He get at people, and people gonna get back at him. It's social media. So people, you could put a baby up on social media, and somebody gonna say, fucking thing's ugly. Like, that's just what it is. You can have 1 million comments of, oh my God, the baby's so cute. Oh my God, congratulations. Somebody gonna be like, the fucking baby ugly. Fuck
that's
that
horrible.
baby. Like, that's just horrible. What social media, because people gonna read it and say, look, everybody's saying nice shit. Look, watch this. Fuck
and they gonna say it from a fake page.
Yeah, fuck that baby. Like, that's just what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
You mentioned something about the dancers not being paid in the Super Bowl.
Yes. So, and I'm sorry, I didn't know you were going to ask, so I'm not prepared with the details.
Just we don't got to go through a whole dissertation of it.
Generally, the gist of it was, I read a story where a dancer was offered the opportunity to dance for free. And it was under the guise of, oh, this is for exposure. Like, which I agree, especially in the professional world, sometimes doing the job, getting the experience, having the exposure may outweigh some financial compensation. But in this case, when you think about the vastness of the Super Bowl, that dancer's going to look like a speck. Like, she might have some backstage pictures to show that she was really there, but it wasn't like they was doing close-ups like it was a music video.
No, all the dancers are dancing in synchronization, so you just kind of look like the gray matter.
Yeah, so she fought back along with some others as well, and they did end up being paid like $15 per hour. And she talked about how many hours went into however many days and hours they had to practice leading up to that, and then the day's event. So they fought back against that, but it was just interesting to see, like, damn, NFL, as much money as y'all make. And then in collaboration with RocNation, as much money as y'all make, y'all are really asking people to come out here and do, like, work for free? Like, I just thought that was so shady.
Yeah, I think that's
like, y'all had buku money.
I'm split. If you, again, in that situation, it doesn't benefit the dancer to do anything for free because you're not going to be seen to even follow up and cash in on the exposure from the Super Bowl. Now, other artists, it's different.
Yeah, other artists.
Janae Aiko, what's her name? Aiko.
Mm-hmm.
Her, I would have done that. National anthem, you do that.
Exactly.
Those
you got
kind of
the
things
camera
you
on
do.
you.
Yeah, there's 90 million people watching that game, and that's the only game, so everybody's watching it.
Yeah, I seen comments from other people in, like, the arts.
And it's bets, so that's how many. There's extra eyes. The people who gamble are watching that too because it's bets from the start of the Super Bowl to from how long the national anthem's going to be to the coin flip to, like, everything is being watched in the Super Bowl from start to finish. So it's a lot of eyes on it. A lot of eyes.
But those dances, I couldn't tell. And even when you think about Kendrick is his name, Kendrick Lamar, has his dancers all had their faces painted to look the same. So it's like, you want these people, you're saying exposure, and you can put it on your resume and say you did this, and nobody may have saw you, but you would have backstage pictures and stuff as proof. But the man hours that go into it leading up to that, there are some people that are professional dancers, meaning that they want to be paid for their art, for their time, because they still got bills to pay. You can't pay bills with exposure. There were some makeup artists who were mentioning, like, there are certain times in their careers where they may be asked to do something. And I thought about this, like, if it's New York Fashion Week and you're doing makeup for whoever, I don't even want to say a fashion designer, but you're doing makeup for them. Depending on the popularity and how big that artist is, that may be a big job. Or somebody might say, you know what, Vogue has a magazine shoot. They want you to come. It's no payment, but exposure. If your makeup is going to be on the cover of a magazine or even in a magazine, that's exposure. But because the spotlight is on that person. But when you out there dancing with hundreds of other
1,500 people.
nah.
Nah, they don't know who Eric is.
Yeah.
You just got the gray hat and the gray mask on like every other dancer doing the same
Even
moves.
in a professional environment, like, you know, I've done jobs in my professional career where it was above my pay grade and I didn't get paid for, you know, maybe 3 months of doing that particular task. And I was okay with that. It paid off. It gave me the experience and gave me an opportunity to move on. But again, that was direct exposure for me.
Right.
Not in the middle of 100 people.
Sad that they tried not to pay him. Glad that they got paid.
Yes, I'm happy that they fought back and didn't just accept it.
Affirmative action. The politics that go into everything, life, school, work, and the politics around affirmative action. Do you believe in affirmative action? Should there be affirmative action?
That was a hard segue.
Well, you went into makeup, and I didn't think you were going into there. So to go from makeup to affirmative action, yeah, it's a hard segue.
Well, even from dancing, that was just saying, like, that was a hard segue.
Well,
I thought you was going to talk about the Rooney Rule first, but okay. So here's my thing on affirmative action. I feel like I want the job that I am qualified for and that I've earned. I don't want to be given the job just because I'm black. And it's a fine line because I may qualify for a job. I may be the best candidate and they give it to somebody else because I'm black. And then it makes me think, do I really want to work for that company anyway? So I think the rule being put in place is to make sure that companies give people a fair chance. But as an individual, I don't know that I would want to work for a company that's being forced to hire black people, because then what's the culture of the organization going to be?
That's the thing. The misconception is you can't have a racial diversity plan. You can have. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. You can't have a racial mandate on people you have to hire, but you can just say diversity, so it doesn't have to be blacks.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. It's not a thing where it's like they're not hiring, like they're only hiring blacks because they have to fill a quota. Like no, there's a diversity plan.
Right.
So it's
I'm just speaking about myself because I'm black.
Yeah, but you said only hiring blacks. Like we're not talking about a company that's just hiring blacks. Like I'm talking about the whole affirmative action diversity thing, where it's not just black people, it's Hispanic people, Asian people, black people, like
color,
people non-white.
Right.
Is the whole point of affirmative action.
I get that. What I'm saying is, I was just saying black because I'm black. But if it's a company that's being forced to hire non-white people, but they're only doing it because they have to, I don't know that I would want to be a part of that organization, because
a racial quota is against the law, is what I'm saying. There are no racial quotas. There's diversity quotas, but not racial quotas.
I understand that. I understand exactly what you're saying. They don't have to hire a certain number of black people, a certain number of Asian people, a certain number of Latino people. They just have to have other non-white people within their organization. Me as a black person, I don't know that I would want to work for a place that's being forced to, that's hiring a diverse workforce out of force, and not just because they feel like, you know what, I interviewed this person and she's the best person for the job. Not like, we just lost, some of our people of color and now we got to hire more because it's like, we, So
do you think there should be? Do you think there should be a diverse hiring plan at jobs?
I do. I think it needs to be a diverse hiring plan, but I also think there needs to be oversight with it. I know now there's been a lot of jobs that have like this diversity and inclusion training and things like that. You can put people through training all day long and make them have to listen to stuff. But if it isn't innate in them, they're still going to treat people bad. But they're going to treat people poorly once they work there.
So, affirmative action, people want to be around people that they're comfortable with and that sound like them and look like them. Mm-hmm. So what do you say about the companies, the black companies that hire all black people? Or this thing now where it's like, oh, I'm pro-black, I'm all for the black person because, times are shitty or life has been shitty for black people. And it's like, okay, I'm going to buy black and small business. You know what I'm trying to say. And then everybody's just pro-black, but that's creating the same thing.
Well, yes, I agree. And I do.
Like, you shouldn't go into a company and it should be all black people. Like, the studies have shown that diversity, having black, white, Asian, Hispanic, like, all that is better for production and thinking and all that kind of shit than just having one group of people, whether it be all white, all black, all Asian, all whatever. Like, having diversity has been studied to show that's the best way to run a corporate office.
I agree, and I don't think, and I think one of
I'm sorry, so not to cut you off, but so how can we just now all have a company where you walk in and it's like, okay, if 200 people work here, 195 is black. But that's not right, because you got to have balance.
But I don't think that's a result of. I don't think that's a result, because it's on both. The law is the law on both sides, so you can't discriminate being a black-owned company either. But you may have white people or other non-black people who are less likely to apply because of that. You can't fault the company because of that. Now, the company shouldn't be discriminating. If there are people that apply and it's a non-black person, let's just say a white person, because it could be a company that is very culturally diverse, but there's no white people, or it's a very small percentage. They shouldn't be discriminating as well. But I think what happens,
those companies that you walk in and it's like, okay, we're pro-black and I'm hiring black people. I'm talking about the exception, the anomaly, the people who are telling themselves that I'm hiring black people, I'm for the black people, and you got majority black people working for your company. It's the same thing as walking in IBM and seeing 200 white men.
It's against the law, and it shouldn't be done. You should hire the best person for the job. I think it's a beautiful thing when you have a company of professionals that are people of color. But I do agree that depending on there may be a small part of me that feels like, depending on what the job is, and I can't think of anything specific right now. Like, if it's something where that's culturally specific, where I'm not gonna say white people can't add any value or other non-black people can't add value, but it may be that position is better suited for a person of color who is able to better serve in that position because of the nature of it. And again, I can't think of anything specific, but that may be a small portion of jobs or companies. But for the most part, I agree that on both ends, there should not be discrimination. Like, affirmative action was so that companies would have diversity plans.
Yeah, but who applies diversity plans and affirmative action to black-owned companies?
Just because it's black owned, though, I think there's an assumption that just because it's black owned doesn't mean there aren't white people. But there may be some white people who they feel intimidated to apply to
or
those
just
jobs.
From the outside looking in, you see a company that, say, like a law firm, and it's like, okay, there's 15 lawyers here and 13 are black, one's Hispanic, one's white. I think that's a problem, like, because you need balance. It's the same thing as when we were watching that show with Ocho Cinco's wife, and that lady was the only woman inside 400 people. Yeah. And it's like, that kind of shit, you need balance.
Well, but again,
to break ideas and thoughts and have progression. If not, you're going to be all thinking the same shit. If all of y'all from the same culture thinking the same thing and doing the same thing,
I think that's
problematic, and that's been studied too. That's not up for debate. Like, if you have a group of people who are from the same culture, do the same things, think the same way, y'all going to think the same thoughts.
But I think that's a little misleading to say that people can't be individuals. Like,
I'm not saying that they can't be individuals. It's scientific studies shown that if you put mass amounts of people, black, white, Hispanic, or whatever, you because y'all from the same culture, because y'all do the same things, you're going to start to think the same. I'm not saying there's not one or two anomalies in there who stand out, who might be individuals, but the group will start to think the same.
Possibly, and it's possible. I mean, there is a theory of no.
You just like disagree with everything I
No,
say.
because I just recently read actually in a lesson about group thinking, so that is a thing. And
right,
I'm not, so
and I'm going
not,
to say I just read something today that says this is.
So I'm not saying that that's wrong, but I'm saying that yes, diversity and inclusion helps to avoid that. But let's not just say, take away the fact that there are some intelligent Black people who will think differently despite their backgrounds. If they don't agree, they don't agree. Now, yes, it is more likely to happen that people will think the same because of their backgrounds. But I don't think you can fault a company if there's 15 lawyers, 13 are Black, 1 is Latino, and 1 is white. If white people ain't applying, what should they do? Fire Black people and just like if white
if you wanted to hire a white person, you could. You can't just sit that. If that's the case, white companies would do the same thing. Black people ain't applying. That's not the same thing. That's apples and oranges. That's not the same thing.
But let's be real and acknowledge the fact that white-owned companies far outweigh Black-owned companies, and that white-owned.
But that's not what we're talking about. Who outweighs who? I'm talking about a company with 100 white men in it is just as bad as a company with 100 Black men in it. Because why? The 100 white men think the same. Why? Because the 100 Black men think the same. That's been scientifically proven.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Okay, so
what I'm saying is that this dynamic of the 100 white people is far more prevalent and far more happening in our society than the company of 100 Black people.
But that's not what we're talking about.
That's
we're not
what I'm talking about. I'm saying
that's not what the conversation is about. Is who has more? What company is more of? If there's more white men.
Affirmative action was implemented because white people weren't hiring people of color.
And my question to you is affirmative action implemented in an all-Black company?
Yes,
that was my question.
It's a federal law. It's not just for white-owned companies.
So I'm asking you, who's regulating Black-owned companies to hire white people?
The same people that affirmative action is a federal law. So the same people that implement, and I don't know if it's the Department of Justice, if it's the ACLU. I don't know who's the person that says, hey, this is the law, this is the Supreme Court, the governor. I don't know. But that law isn't just for white-owned companies. That's across the board. So what regulatory bodies are in place to monitor that? I don't know.
Oh, man, we went through all that just for I don't know.
Well, you asking the questions. Do you have the answer?
I thought we were... Never mind. Just forget about it.
I don't know who regulates it, but the law is in place for everybody.
I know that, though. I'm not like an idiot. I know that affirmative action is a federal law. Like, that's not nothing that is new information. I know that. I'm just saying, if you got these companies, and that's why affirmative action was brought on because this company got 500 white people. It's worth 500 white people working for it, and no Blacks, no Hispanics. Okay, what about the companies out there that got 500 Black people working for them? Who's regulating that? Or is somebody pushing affirmative action to tell them, listen, you need to hire non-Blacks, you need to hire Hispanics, you can't have a company with 25 workers and 22 be Black.
I think
and then my point was, anytime that there's any company like that it's been scientifically proven, and you said you agreed, that people think the same. And you were saying, okay, some people can be individuals. Yeah, that's an anomaly. That's not what is likely to happen when you have 100 white people, 100 Black people. Like, you're going to start to think the same. You're going to, especially if you do the same things.
I think it becomes a problem if it can be proven that people, whether it's non-white people or non-Black people, have not been hired due to racial discrimination. That's when it becomes a problem.
That's when what becomes a problem? Affirmative action?
Right, because like you said, there isn't a quota.
Right.
There just has to be. You just can't have a policy of not hiring these people. But if you can be like, look, these are all the resumes that we got over the last 5 years. Like, it's affirmative action is just like the Rooney Rule, where it's only guaranteeing the interview. Right.
It's not guaranteeing the hiring.
Right, so that's what I just said. The policy, as long as you can demonstrate that there has not been any institutional policy that has not allowed the opportunity for diversity to be implemented in the organization, and saying, okay, look, these are all the applicants we got over the last 5 years, over the last year, and we got 100 applicants, 20 of them were black. I'm just using black and white. I know it doesn't only include black and white people, but 20 of them were black, 80 of them were white. We interviewed 30 people and only interviewed the white people. Why were none of the black people interviewed? But if you can demonstrate, yeah, it was a fair mix, we interviewed these people, like, then that shows that you didn't have an institutional policy of just excluding all of the black people.
But I think that my thing is, that's what I'm getting to. The affirmative action, that rule is bullshit, because if it's only guaranteeing me interview process and not a hiring process, then what you can do what the NFL is doing when they say, okay, you're going to get interviewed, but you're not getting a job. We know who we getting a job to, but we got to do this because we got to show, like you said, that there's no bad policy here and that we're implementing some diversity, and this is just protocol. Come in, do the interview so we can check the box, and we're giving a job to the white guy.
I mean, it's only but so much you can do to, again, it goes back to the original statement. Do you want a job where somebody's hiring you because they're forced to? They're giving you the interview because they have to kind of align with the policy to show that they aren't discriminating. They are interviewing people, but at the end of the day, it's only but so much control that people can have.
But that's what I'm saying. Why even take the interview if it's just guaranteeing an interview? You're not guaranteeing me hire. So
nobody's guaranteeing you hire.
Well, you can't. It's against the law. You can't say you have to hire all black people or you have to hire a certain number of white people. But you can say you have to interview a certain amount. That's the rule. That's the diversity.
Right.
So you can't say, you got to hire, 12 black people, but you can say you have to interview 12 black people.
Right.
But you can sit back and say, okay, fine, I'll interview them, but I ain't fucking hiring none of them.
But there is a standard and I don't know if this, I think 6% is like the standard percentage of
that's
diversity.
What's looked at, that's not frowned upon.
Right.
But there's no regulation that says you have to do that. That's the
percentage you have to have. But again,
there's 13% of black people in America. Do you think there should be 13%? And I heard this from somewhere. Do you think there should be 13% of blacks in every industry?
Yes, 13% or more.
Killer Mike actually said that.
There is an organization called Pull Up for Change, and they have an Instagram page. If y'all are, on Instagram, Pull Up for Change, where probably about a year ago they were tagging companies and bringing them like putting them on Front Street. Hey, I'm just gonna throw Nike, Apple, like big name companies. They were saying, we looked at your corporate organizational structure, and you only have 2% of black people in your company, and at the executive level there's no black people. And companies were responding, and we can look at it in more detail, but companies were responding saying, you know what, you're right, we failed in this capacity, we're going to take a step back, we're going to make some changes, we're going to do right. And then some companies, they were like, if the information wasn't available, they would say, hey, Gap, H&M, whoever, give us some insight. And companies were like, we good, like we got this percent, we got this many people. So
6% is looked at as,
but the same
okay.
question you asked was asked, like there's 13% of black people. Should that standard be risen? And some companies are meeting it, few and far between, but that same question was asked, like, if we are representative of 13% of the population in the world, why should we not be representative of 13% of the population?
And it should be across all positions, not just the working force. It should be executives and all that kind of shit.
The C-levels, all of those positions should. And again, some companies, like you said, it's not just a black and white. It's that person of color.
So what do you think about the politics at work as wrapped around affirmative action and just the politics in general at work?
I mean, again, it's one of those things where I want the job that I qualify for. I want to be paid equally, not based on the color of my skin, not based on the fact that I'm a female, but because my skills and ability deem that I am worthy of this
That's what you
position
want, but
and
that's
worthy
just
of
saying
that
like
money. I personally have not that I'm aware of, encountered any issues like that, but it's one of those things where I feel like it is. I think the rule is necessary because you will have more companies who don't have any diversity in their organization or don't even give people the opportunity to interview. At the same time, I feel like I don't want to work for a company where they're doing it out of force or just going through the motions to give me an interview and there's never any intent to
what
hire
about
me.
having a job there already and just the politics of the corporate world, the politics of work, period?
I can't really speak to that because it's not something that I have been
We
privy
all
to.
have been a part of politics at work.
No, I thought you meant in terms of affirmative action.
No, like just be having a job and then just dealing with the politics and maneuvering your way maybe up the ladder or something. The politics of that, like promotions, demotions, raises, like shit like that. Like that's all politics. That's all who you might know or who like when some instances in your life where you was climbing the ladder, it's like okay, because you worked with that person 3 years ago, they jumped to a double position. Now they know you,
Yeah.
know you good, and pull you up. So I'm just
I
the
think
politics. Like it's all politics.
it works
Whether you
like
get a
life.
3% raise or 7% raise, that shit's all politics.
I mean, and that's the corporate world, and that's what you have to do your job to the best of your ability, make good connections. Your network is your net worth. Who you know will help you. We talk about nepotism, how that works in people's favor, and sometimes it's not necessarily nepotism because you may not know anybody or have family members that you work with, but you've made connections that you work with who can help pull you up. I'm all for that as long as I or the next person is deserving. Now,
So the way that the politics and the cutthroat way work corporate is, construction, manual labor jobs, the way that that's structured is fine. It shouldn't be equal for everybody. I mean, since we're sitting here talking about affirmative action and having like a diversity plan, this cutthroat way that corporate world is that we're discussing and talking about, and how my industry is too, and who you know and who you can jump in front of, and who you can like how can you shine your star the best? That's okay.
I mean,
Or should it be equal? Should it be better? Should you not have to know somebody just to get 2 steps ahead?
I think no, I think it is perfectly fine for someone that you know to give you an opportunity as long as you are deserving.
Okay.
I can say I have benefited from knowing people who have presented an opportunity to me, but they only did it because they knew that I was I was a fit for the position.
I was ready to say they probably knew you were a fit, but how do you know, or that person didn't know that there was a better candidate? And because I'm in this position, like say if I got in a position and I got a hire person, and I say, babe, I'm gonna reach back and hire Danny, and you'd be like, well, damn, you know him, like he can do the job, he a good fit, but it's Tom over here who's got better skills, but me and Danny go back, and I know he can do the job. It's not even about whether he gonna fuck up. Both of them can do the job, but Tom has a better resume. But I want Danny because I know him, our relationship. We work together. So that kind of pull up, is that right? Over you should have reached that?
Relationships matter. I
They
think
do.
relationships matter, and because I think also we have to realize a job is a job, but we're also helping somebody's family. Like
Right.
relationships matter. So I don't. Again, as long as the person that you're allowing that opportunity is qualified for, I don't see a problem with that. Now, if it's a situation that's like, okay, I'm gonna put my nephew in this position, and you know he's not the like you're playing yourself,
Right.
Like
Because
you're
that's a
allowed.
representation of you.
Yeah, and it's gonna if your jobs coincide, it's probably gonna make your job that harder because you're not hiring. I don't even want to say the best person, because sometimes there could always be a better person. How many, you can do 50 interviews and think you found the best person, and then interview number 51, you could be like, damn, this is an even better fit. So at some point you have to make a decision. But if you know, guess what, I already know this person, save yourself the hassle.
So does that work for the politics in school?
What do you mean in school?
The politics in school, whether you be in a good school district or not a school district, and whether you test this test and you got this test and this person has an opportunity to go here because they know this person. That's all politics too.
I don't know how that works in schools. I mean, because school, I
say like, okay, like the situation where, okay, a smart kid who we was talking the other day, and the person said, okay, if you'd have went to Gratz, you could have been top of your fucking class. But because you went to Central or Girls High, you in the middle. So the politics of, okay, I'm going to take my kid out of this school and put him in this school for them to be number one. There's parents who do that. Mm-hmm. So that's moving around and politicking to try to get an edge over the students because it ain't equal for everybody. Well, that's like going back to saying the old address thing. Like, okay, you live here, but you go to school at grandma's house so you can get into that school. But now it's like I'm taking my kid out of MG, putting them in Strawberry Mansion because I know they'll outdo every kid in there, and my kid will graduate valedictorian and get a scholarship. That's politicking.
But again, you got to think to yourself, does the end justify the means? Because,
I don't know, but I'm just saying it's a thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The individual person has to think that. The education that your child may get at Central it may far exceed the education that your child will get at Strawberry Mansion.
But if your child can't move forward from Central and can get a scholarship at Mansion to go 4 years to school, but because the work was a little tougher, your kid's in the middle at Central. So it's not going to get the whole ride that you wanted in the end.
That's what I'm saying.
All they have is the high school education.
Okay, they can still go to college. Maybe they're not getting the scholarship that they would get being number one. But now you have to think how your child got this scholarship because they were number one at a school that wasn't as academically challenged. But now how prepared are they for the next level? So now they can go to school for free, but they don't know as much as they need to know. So again, you got to determine, does the end justify the means? Am politics. I okay with my child not being number one, being somewhere in the middle, but they were challenged more? So now maybe I got to pay more out of pocket, or maybe they have to they struggled a little more throughout high school, but the education that they got far exceeded the education they would have got at a Strawberry Mansion or a Gratz. Mm-hmm. So you have to, that's an individual decision and I know that there are some parents that do that simply because they think, you know what, my child is smart, they'll be fine, let's just get this scholarship money.
And that's when you say does the ends justify the means justify the end, or however you say it, that's the end result that they wanted. They scholarship money. So they can
but
get
again,
their kid to school.
Have to think
I don't think they're necessarily thinking,
prepared?
But I don't think they're thinking that. I think they like get tutors, go to JUCO, like whatever, do something. We wanted the ride in 9th grade. That's what the end goal was. We want you to get a ride to go to school, not be 190 in a class of 400 because you went to a smart high school. Like, what's that do for you?
I mean, then again, you have to think about what your resume or what your transcripts look like to the colleges of you graduating from Central versus you graduating from a Strawberry Mansion. You having a 4.0 at Strawberry Mansion versus you having a 3.0 or versus you having a 3.0 at Central. So yeah, you don't have that 4.0, but what was your academic curriculum?
The Rooney Rule. Policy that requires leagues to be interviewed ethnic minority candidates for head coaching jobs. It is an example of affirmative action, even though there is no hiring quota or hiring preference given to the minorities, only an interview quota, established in 2003. In 2006, it jumped from, black coaches jumped from 6% to 22%. In 12 seasons under the Rooney Rule, 14 non-white head coaches got jobs. Many of them lost their jobs in the first or second season. 2019, 8 teams needed head coaches. 1 team hired a non-white coach, and that was Brian Flores. who was fired after 3 seasons with the Dolphins, his last 2 seasons being winning seasons. In 2020, there's 3 black head coaches across the league, same as it was in 2003 when it started.
I mean, the NFL is...
Did you get all that information?
I did. I mean, a lot of it I did. I hear what you're saying. A lot of it...
So through all that I said, in 2003, it's the
we're
same.
in the same position as we were.
Position.
Yeah, 19 years later.
Yeah.
The NFL is a white man's playground. They are the billionaires that own these teams. And when you think about and you'll have to correct me with some names, Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys. When you think about Al Davis, who was the owner of the Raiders, when you think about Bob Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, these 70, 80 dead-year-old white men come from a culture where I don't care how many, chains of Meek Mills that Bob Kraft put on, they were not raised in an inclusive culture where they embraced black people. So just because they make billions and they're owners of these organizations, again, it comes down to them being forced to incorporate black people. It's not innate in them to want to do that.
No.
So they create a culture of what they're familiar with, who they're familiar with. A lot of times these rich white men, old white men, they're intimidated by you're talking about football players, by big, powerful, black men.
I think they look at them like stock.
You got these conversations.
Like these my new stallions.
Yeah, you got the conversations where I've heard they talk about like the slave owner and the slaves, or boys, they want to, claim them all as their sons, when it's like, you're my boss, this is my job. Like, it's one of those situations where people are expecting something from a group of people, and it's almost unrealistic. And it's until the tides turn, then I think, we'll start to see a difference.
That's the way I think of shit. Like, how could you be mad at somebody when you know what they are going in?
Yeah.
So when they act a certain way or do a certain thing, why are you so fucking shocked?
Yeah.
Like, you knew that going in.
80-year-old white people were born. You figured that was...
I had a friend who is 68 years old. I don't want to say his name, but... He was white, and clearly when he was in high school, he called people N-words. Clearly, like, that's just what the times were. Was it the right thing to do? Fuck no, to talk to people like that. But that's what they did.
80-year-old white men were in their 20s during the Jim Crow era. And I'm not saying that these people all participated in the racism and the violence that was going on. But just imagine what you were doing in your 20s, how you were a part of your culture, whatever your culture was. So their culture, the things that their friends were doing, it may have made some of them feel uncomfortable if they weren't fully immersed in the hatred that was going on. But the mindset, and then their parents. So even if they were, feeling a little iffy about it, of course, nothing is an all or nothing statement. So I'm not saying this is every single person, but when you think about their parents and the culture or the mindset that their parents instilled in them, these are the men that are now the owners of these teams.
Yeah.
What do you expect from them?
When you're talking about, like she said, 60, 70, 80-year-old white men, that's 80 years ago. What was they doing 80 years ago when he was 13, 14? Chasing niggas, beating up niggas, calling people niggas. Like,
and
that's
even
just
if
what they were doing.
They were segregated.
Yeah.
So even if they weren't chasing,
they wasn't of the
mindset
of inclusiveness.
Yeah.
They were apart, segregated, and that's just what they knew. That's all they knew. There was no integration yet.
And I'm not making excuses for any of them. I think sometimes we forget that it's almost like second nature to them to, like, they don't consciously think, oh, I ain't hiring no nigger for this position. They just don't think about black people because they don't think about black people.
Yeah.
They don't think about, I think, what we should do? We should change up the dynamics of our organization. We should have more black people in this organization.
Hire old Marty over there.
That's not their That's not their mindset.
We should hire old Marty over there.
That's not their mindset because that's just not innately in them how they feel. Like, so I'm not surprised by it. I think the conversations need to continue to happen. But then you also got to remember, when you're talking about billion-dollar organizations, it's only so many feathers they're going to be willing to ruffle in order to
you ain't fucking with
effectuate change.
Yeah, you ain't fucking with their money. When you start messing with the money, they shut it down.
Yeah, because this conversation.
You're talking about billionaires is different from millionaires.
Well, let me ask you this: did you see and I don't remember his name. I thought I knew it, but I can't think of it. The guy that was hired for the Dolphins who said he was biracial. Yeah, I can't think of his name. Mike McDonough. I might be completely wrong, but if y'all know. Now, looking at this gentleman, he looks as biracial as you look Asian right now. I'm going to just put that. If he would have said, maybe he had some Latino, like maybe one of his parents was Latino and the other was white, I might have believed him. But to say one of his parents was black, I felt like was a slap in the face. And I felt like in this instance, if they're trying to use his racial makeup as justification to say, hey, we do have a diversity hire. They call it in corporate America, diversity hire. We do have a diversity hire, even though, we interviewed this black man but we gave the job to this other person. We did hire a biracial person. They should have just left that part out because it made them look like, oh, y'all really think we stupid. Like, y'all shouldn't even have mentioned his race. Y'all should have said, this is who we wanted. We felt like he was the better man for the job. This is who we selected, and we're moving forward. Don't even mention his race, because saying that he's biracial is a slap in the face. Just looking at him. I want to see the family tree.
I don't know anything about this. I didn't see no biracial man, so I can't speak on it. And
I want to see the family tree.
What's your beef? My beef is, and this ties into one of my grams, the way medical workers pass judgment on black or homeless people. That's my beef. Do better. Stop passing judgment on black and homeless people. If you're going to kill somebody, and do better. That's your beef.
Wow. Wow, you kind of threw me with that a little bit. I thought you was going to go in a little bit more. It
ties into one of my grams, but what's your beef?
Oh, okay.
Jesus Christ, that's the third time. What's your beef?
I'm sorry. I
you know it's coming
fail
up
sometimes because I know it's coming, but I'll be in a happy place. So I don't necessarily.
So you don't have to have a beef,
beefing.
But you can't go like weeks and weeks and weeks like I don't got no beef. I'm happy.
Maybe I'm just in a place of peace and I don't have no beef.
That's not being transparent.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna say this. My beef this week, and this is related to social media too. Stop feeling like your opinion is the end all and be all of everything. Like people will say,
your opinion ain't the gospel.
Yeah, like your opinion is just that, your opinion. If you didn't like a movie, you didn't like the movie. If you don't like a song, you don't like the song. If you don't like an outfit, you don't like the outfit. To say that movie is trash, y'all don't know good movies. That song is stupid, y'all don't know good music when you hear it. Those outfits are horrible, y'all don't know how to dress. Like,
that sounds like haters.
Your opinion is your opinion. And just because you feel that way doesn't mean everybody else does.
But that's how people feel on social media, like their opinion matters.
It does matter to you, just not to everybody.
Yeah. 3 grams. The first gram is the invalidated. Let me move back in the shot. I keep leaning over. The invalidated baptisms for 20 years by priests over one-word negligence and saying we over one. So this priest was supposed to be saying over I. He said we baptized this person, baby, woman, whatever, instead of I baptized. And that alone invalidated tens of thousands of baptisms over the years. So you might have some people with lawsuits saying, my life is fucked because my mom took me to this whack dude when I was 2 years old to baptize me, and he fucked it all up. And I've been having nothing but bad luck my whole life. I'm suing. I believe and I got faith, and he fucked it up by saying we.
Yeah,
I think it's bullshit, but
no, I agree. The Catholic Church gonna have another thing coming at them. That when I heard it, and I don't mean no disrespect to anybody that's Catholic that's been baptized, and somebody might have screwed up your baptism, I was cracking up like, is this? And this was in Arizona, so this was national news.
I don't mean to sound insensitive, but screwed up is like he missed a passage, like he left out a paragraph, but he simply said, we baptized this person instead of I, and that alone invalidates it.
Now, if you really want to get down to semantics, if you're saying we includes I, so I really am including myself, so I do it, but I'm saying
and are you not supposed to look at like the man like God? Like he's saying we because the priest is thinking the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and they want him to say I as if he is.
I don't know anything about Catholicism and how their baptisms.
So do they want him to say I because he's God, Son, the Father, and the Holy Spirit, or he's just a man and they want him to say I because that's how you're supposed to say I'm the man?
He's baptized him, so I baptize you. When he said we, I don't know who he was referring to.
I would think it would be the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, but that's just what I think. I could be wrong.
I absolutely don't know.
Who else could be we? You don't have an assistant up there.
I don't know. Is there another person?
No. I seen priests drop babies and all kinds of shit. Ain't nobody helping them out.
I don't know. Yeah. If you're from Arizona and got baptized, you might want to check it out.
2nd gram, this light. Paisley Schultes, missing for 3 years, found under a staircase in New York in a family member's house. At 7 years old, she was missing.
I heard about that.
So she was reported missing. This is what I read. Reported missing. Somehow she was taken to another family's house, which was the father of the grandfather. He had built some type of thing under the staircase and had her there. And she's 7 years old. She was living under there. The police got a tip that the girl was in that house. They went there. He said he never even seen her since 2019. But then they seen some type of the way the staircase was built a little wrong, and they flashed the light in there and found her.
Yeah. So from what I heard,
it's like people under the stairs type shit.
Her birth, for whatever reason, I don't know why, she was taken from her birth parents, and they kidnapped her. So her birth mom, her birth dad, and her grandpa, I don't know whose dad it was, but one of their dads. Yeah, they took her and they were high. So
Kimberly
I guess her
Cooper, 33 years
family.
old, and Kirk Schultes Jr., 32, was the couple, and Kirk Schultes Sr. was the house they found her in. He was 57.
So I don't know if she was being abused or if they just were hiding. I don't know if she was kept under the stairs for 3 years or they just were hiding her because the police were there. I'm not saying that they're right, because if the baby was taken from them, maybe they were abusing her, there was some reason. I could understand how a parent's like, you took my child, I'm taking her back. It's crazy to me that they went, because you would think they would be the primary suspects. Mm-hmm. So how did they get away for that long amount of time without... because you would think that the police would have been going back and forth to their house very frequently.
When he was talking about the 12-year-old kill somebody, you'd be surprised what people live with.
Yeah.
And they know that they did that shit to that little girl, and they just going on day by day like...
But they may not...
She under the fucking steps.
But they may not feel like they did anything to her. They may feel like we took our child back. I don't know if she was being abused is what I'm saying.
She was under the steps.
What I'm saying, I don't know if she was like kept there every day or if they was like somebody at the door, go in here. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if she was living under the steps.
That's a little bit abusive too. Somebody at the door, go in here. Like, you're missing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying I can understand how, as a parent, your child got taken. You like, I'm taking her back.
Last gram ties into my beef. You can't steal kids, babe. Not gypsies.
I'm not saying
like you can't condone
steal
that.
your own kid.
You need to go to some type of proper authorities. I mean, I would steal my own kid, but it would be wrong.
Yeah, that's why I said I'm not condoning it. They were wrong, especially if she was taken because they did something to her initially. Then, yeah, it's wrong. It's wrong altogether. I'm just saying I understand how you would want to take your kid back if they were taken.
Yeah, you're right. Last gram, this ties into my beef. This is sort of a gram and a PSA to people. Angela Rye is a political pundit who fights for black people and speaks for black people. She's on TV all the time. Her uncle went missing the other day on Tuesday. I have to date this, on Tuesday night. He was 77 years old. He has dementia. And he was found in like a Walmart store, passed out. Ambulance came, they took him to the hospital and released him a few hours later. Did not ask for emergency contact, did not ask where his family was. A 77-year-old man who has dementia passed out. They don't even call nobody to come pick him up or anything. The hospital let him out and gave him a bus pass. This is in Seattle somewhere, I think. I'm sure it was in Seattle. This guy got on a bus and is still missing. Nobody knows where he went. 77 years old. He's been missing since Tuesday because the hospital let him out, gave him a bus pass. He got on probably any number bus and went somewhere. And don't nobody know where the fuck he at. Her dad's brother.
Wow.
So just people out there, he 6'4", like 170 pounds, black man, old, 77 years old. Again, stop passing judgment on people thinking that they homeless and you don't want to deal with them if you're a medical worker. Like, people got family, and just to send somebody uncle out there or brother or father or whatever, like that's just fucked up. Now he passed out in the store. He gets help, gets in the hospital. They don't want to deal with him. They kick him out, and now don't nobody know what bus he got on. Don't nobody know where he at. Don't nobody know where he went. Like, what the fuck's that say about a medical worker? And when did the hospital start giving out bus passes?
That's not a foreign concept that they will coordinate through like Medicaid programs and stuff like that, bus passes.
And you showing signs of dementia?
Well, that I'm not. In that case, they should have been more cognizant and aware of the person's mental state. I'm just saying the bus pass or calling a cab or something like that is not a foreign concept.
I follow Angela Rye on the gram. Shouts out to Angela Rye. It's a shame that happened to her uncle. That's it. That was the last gram. Act 2 the Podcast, episode 58. Act2thepodcast.com, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Breaker, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TikTok. Come on. Facebook. Come on. One more.
And
Anchor.
Radio Public.
Radio Public.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all. Keep liking, keep sharing. Again, we'll be sharing some great news we got coming.
It's great news for us, and y'all might not care.
Yeah, I was going to say, y'all might be like, fuck, y'all don't give a shit about that. But just great news for us. We appreciate y'all watching, appreciate y'all engagement. Like, share, comment. It's Act 2 the Podcast, episode 58. If you fuck with us, you fuck with us. If you don't, you should. Peace.